My name is Steve Jaynes, and I am the MBA Director. And as you can see on the slide here, you can transform your career. So there's no doubt that the MBA at Macquarie is very important in helping you to step back from your day-to-day. We lead very busy lives, and to really look at your work and career situation and to progress that, both in terms of the person in front of you, the academic, as well as the network that the Macquarie MBA will give you access to. So it's very important that the people you're working with, the network and the connections you make in the MBA will really help you with your career aspirations and open up opportunities. So the Macquarie MBA, as the post-experience MBA, has a very strong network, both in terms of current students and in terms of the alumni as well. So as you can see here, a number of outcomes from studying an MBA, and I think primarily to sort of what underpins the value of our Macquarie MBA is how it helps you with your communication skills, your strategic skills, leadership skills, and also to inform your decision making. So it's a broad-based business degree right across all of the business disciplines, and so it gets you to understand how the various parts of a business work together, I should say, where an organisation is positioned in its marketplace and where it needs to reposition for future growth. So you can see here a number of outcomes and experiences from being a part of the Macquarie MBA community. So thanks, Catriona. If we can go to the next slide here. So in terms of who we are, we do have a strong established alumni. We've been going since 1968. Very well ranked, ranked the third highest here in Australia by the Financial Times Index, ranked within the top 100 globally. So strongly regarded MBA, good reputation, and we have AA CSB accreditation. We're also seeking Amber accreditation this year. And then following that, Equus accreditation. What that really means from a MBA perspective is the value of our degree is well regarded right across the community, both here in Australia and overseas. So you can see here in terms of what we do have flexible learning solutions. It's a very applied MBA, so we work closely with industry. We're very focused on both knowledge, concepts, tools, and their application to industry. So where you might be coming from a particular background, a particular discipline yourself, you're able to broaden your business knowledge and your business acumen, and that will help you with your mobility either across industry or for promotion to a more senior leadership position. So to the next slide. Thanks, Catriona. She's working the slides here. So yeah, again, in terms of real world learning, that is a strong focus that we're building, continue to build in the Macquarie MBA. So that industry focus, guest speakers coming in to illustrate practice, and that's tied into the curriculum as well. So you can see the fusion of contemporary business theory and real world application. That's really the acid test of an MBA, is its relevance and application for practice. So it's really bridging concept and theory to practice, and that's the key element in the Macquarie MBA, and that's what really provides you with those sort of transformative skills and capabilities. So you can just see a few elements here on the slide. We have the living case study, which is very much involved with industry, with organisations, where students work effectively as consultants on a live business case study and then present to the client. So that's an element in our Macquarie MBA which we'll continue to build in terms of the industry application. So to the next slide, I'm going to cover a few slides, and then I'm going to cue to Catriona, and then we're going to open up for, she'll cover some other content, and then in particular we'll be seeking your questions and any queries that you might have. So you can see here the map of the globe. We can't really get to the globe with COVID-19 at the moment. We can't travel, of course, but we do have strong connections and partnerships around the world, and we're hoping to resume those experiences in the form of study tours once we can post COVID-19. So we do have networks and organisations around the world that we work with, and you can see some of these illustrated on the map in front of you now. So that again is a part of working across cultures, your ability to work across cultures, to work in teams, to have that cultural sensitivity in a increasingly global world. We could say that up until recently, but there are also elements of deglobalization going on. But clearly that's important for your career, that cross-cultural experience. And so we have exchange programs with business schools around the world. You can see illustrated there. And to the next slide, thanks, Catriona. Yeah, very much so. The network is very important. As I mentioned just before, when you're looking at an MBA program, it's very important to see who you'll be working with, who you'll be studying with, because there's a lot to be gained in terms of the people you're going through with. And I think any good MBA program, such as the Macquarie MBA, has a strong community of practice, and you will be working with typically middle to senior managers. Average age is in the mid-30s, plus a lot of work experience across industry. I think on average about 7 or 8 years managerial experience. And so that's a very strong dimension of the Macquarie MBA, is that network that you're working in, connections and contacts that you'll form during your MBA program, and no doubt we'll keep those post-MBA. So we have a very strong alumni network as well, and we have ongoing opportunities for professional development, networking events, alumni events, which you'll of course have be a part of as well. And I think, does that bring me through to the end of my segment, I think, Catriona? Can I now cue across to you?
For sure, for sure. Thank you very much, Steve, for handling the first part of the presentation tonight, and certainly we'll be together to answer the questions. So my name is Catriona Lavermicocca. I'm the Associate Dean Postgraduate for the Macquarie Business School, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the details around our MBA. And so the slide that you're looking at now talks about the MBA being a pathway to leadership. And so I'll talk a bit about how it is a pathway. So there's flexible entry levels into the MBA. Applicants can apply to the MBA who meet the requisite entry requirements, including having a bachelor degree with a certain GPA or what we call WAM, and relevant work experience. But there's also a mechanism where you can enter the MBA via the certificate. So we have a graduate certificate in management, and that you can apply for where you have 5 years of experience in a managerial professional capacity. And so you can start off there with the 4 core units in the graduate certificate, and if you pass those, you can then progress on to either directly into the MBA or to the postgraduate diploma. Postgraduate diploma includes 7 core units and an elective, and then you get right to the cut to the chase. And our MBA is made up of 10 core units and 6 electives. Diagrammatically is a representation there as to how it might be completed over a 2-year period, although that's full time, of course. Part-time, it would certainly take longer than 2 years. We do offer our units over terms. So if you're studying part-time, you could do 1 unit a term. And I think students really like the ability to do one, focus on that area, and then move on in the next term to another area rather than more than 1 unit at a time. So the MBA, 10 core units and 6 electives. And the 10 core units cover areas like accounting, finance, economics, information and decision analysis. Now, those are really areas for people that particularly don't come from a business background. So to enroll in the MBA, you don't have to have a business or commerce bachelor degree. You can commence an MBA, and as Steve highlighted, we have students from so many different industries, from so many different levels of experience, and that that is truly represented in the fact that, yes, you can come from medicine, yes, you can come from IT or data analytics or banking and finance, but we have a mechanism by which you can do those core units that will bring you up to speed in a managerial context. So it's not standard accounting unit, it's accounting for managers, it's finance for managers, it's economics for managers, and so forth. So those core units, yes, brings you up to speed with the business environment. Potentially, if you do have a business or commerce degree, then you could request some exemptions or RPL, combining that with your work experience, of course, to get the RPL or credit. But then you go on in the core unit area to do marketing, organizational behavior, operations management. There's 2 strategy units. One is a capstone unit in the MBA, and there is a really renowned unit called Foundations of Management Thought, where you look at management philosophies over time and look at what is relevant to your style, what areas you might want to work on, and so on and so forth. So they're the 10 core units, and then there's electives. Okay, so 6 electives that you can do in your MBA, and they really cover a broad area. So if you really want to specialize in a particular area for your MBA, say you really want to focus on developing your leadership and really general management skills, well, you might focus in the elective group in that space. Alternatively, you might actually want to do a diverse range of elective units, and that's certainly up to you. So we have groups of electives in finance and financial strategy, marketing, sustainability. So sustainability and corporate social responsibility themes run through our units. Management skills, strategy, again, more generally logistics, operations, global perspectives. So there's quite a number of units that take an international or global perspective, and of course entrepreneurship. So Macquarie is renowned for having its incubator on the campus, and there's opportunities for MBA students to go and work in that incubator on assist startup operations that work in the incubator, develop entrepreneurial ideas and work on how they can be implemented. So that incubator is amazing. I think we have a picture somewhere, maybe not on these slides, but it's pretty amazing, and amazing people that work in there that can help you with your entrepreneurial mindset. The other thing that an MBA always needs to have is some kind of internship opportunities. Now, for many domestic students, that may not be of interest. Certainly international students may be more relevant, but an internship opportunity is available to students in the MBA. And it may be the case that you'd like to shift your career to the side. It's not just about leadership. So you might be interested in an internship to get some experience in an area where you want to shift to from where you are. There's also exchange programs, and I know Steve mentioned them, and yes, it's a bit tricky to go on exchange at the moment. In fact, we had a really fantastic trip to go to US, to Silicon Valley. It was meant to go in May, which didn't happen. But interestingly enough, there's a thing called a virtual exchange, and that's something we're working with a provider in the US to look at how we might be able to have a virtual exchange and visit to different businesses for students in the MBA until such time as they can travel. And in fact, it may actually suit some students irrespective. Research projects, yes, if you're someone who's interested and you want the leadership and management skills, you want to do some electives, but really you wouldn't mind developing some research skills, because that might be an area of focus that you want to move into in the future. So that's available, and potentially you could do a research project relevant to the industry or the occupation you're in. And then something we call the living case study. So it's a management consulting project where you work with a particular business, a real life business, in coming up with solutions and recommendations for a real life problem or issue that they have. And students have worked across various sectors on these living case studies, with not-for-profits, with government institutions, for commercial enterprises, insurance businesses. There's a raft of different types of management consulting projects you can work on. And actually students form groups and they compete against each other, and there is a winner chosen by the judging team. So they're all some specific electives that are really attractive to students who want some very much experiential component. Having said that, all the units in the MBA are units that are really hands-on, often taught by practitioners or people who were practitioners, all in a collaboration between academics and practitioners. A lot of case-based study, practical application. So it's very much learning by doing in the MBA. A lot of group work. So, you know, that's something that often students complain about, but certainly at the end of the MBA, it's one of the most favourable things students say is what they learn from the group work. And we had an info session with MBA students a couple of weeks ago, and I was surprised how they were just so positive about their outcomes from the group work, because remember, they're in groups with people from diverse backgrounds and experience, and that networking opportunity is really part of what they get out of the MBA, not just the technical learning. So that then brings me to flexible learning. I think one of the great things about Macquarie Business School's MBA is the flexible learning. So people who are looking at doing an MBA are busy people. They've got a lot going on. Often they'll have families, they'll have very busy jobs. They'll probably need to travel. They don't know, although not very far at the moment, but certainly they don't know what's up ahead. So having a flexible learning environment gives the confidence to students to say, well, look, I can do this, because for this term, if I'm got a really big project on, I may not enroll in a unit, I may not take on a heavy load, or maybe I'll do a block class, which only really requires me to attend campus for 2 weekends. I can do that. So there's lots of alternatives for your study in the MBA. We also have intakes every term as well. So there may be a right time for you to start, maybe not now, but it might be at another point. And there are 4 points during the year when you can commence. So we have weekday classes, we have evening classes, and we have weekend block classes that are held. Those all are offered potentially at North Ryde. Now, not every unit has all 3 offerings at the one time, but we do rotate it around to make sure that there's enough opportunities for people, if they want to do all the units in a block, that potentially over the course of their MBA they can. So the weekday and evening classes, normally if there's a day class, it'd be between 9 and 5, I think, 9 and 5 or 6, Nita, is that correct? Usually the blocks of day classes are like 9 till 1 and yep, good. And 2 till 6, something like that. That sounds a long time, 4 hours for a weekly class, and it is, but we do provide breaks. We've got a really cool cafe at the Management Drive at North Ryde where MBA classes are held. But Macquarie campus is amazing. It's got lots of things for you to be able to go and do in an awesome library at other times when you're on campus.